Why do you want to do Writer's Workshop in your classroom? Well, a Writer's Workshop is research-based, and it's proven to be effective in fostering those early reading and writing skills in our students. We've talked a lot about how our job as early childhood teachers is like the most important. Not tooting my own horn, but we lay the foundation for our students' whole lives, not just through 12th grade. I mean, we're developing their love of learning for the rest of their life. So we want them to come in our classrooms and love learning. So that's my favorite part about Writer's Workshop is that my kids end up loving writing. And I think that that's hard to find in some other resources when you implement writing in your classroom, but Writer's Workshop really does that. Do you guys have something to add? Oh, it's not a curriculum. So that's the best part about this. On your tables, you have the units that we worked on to develop, but they are just a framework. So this is something that you can use in your classroom to help grow your kids' writing, but it's not a curriculum. You do not have to do it exactly like it's done in the units. You know what's best for your kids, and you know what's best for your teaching style, and that's what you want to do. You want to be your best so that your kids have the best experience. Plus, you won't want to read through like all of our lessons. Mine are all about my dog. It sounds like I only have a dog in my life. So, but my kids like hearing about my dog, so that's what I wrote in my mini lessons was I wrote about my dog because that's what I talk about with my kids. So you probably won't want to tell a story about my dog Luca. Your kids will have no clue what you're talking about. But it's just a framework to kind of guide your teaching if you'd like some support. And especially for teachers that may be new to Writer's Workshop or new to teaching, this will give them that support to really guide their instruction during this time, just step by step. When I started Writer's Workshop in my classroom, I used a similar resource. And before I would start, I would look through hers, and she'd write about going on a trip with her sister. And so I'd be like, I went to the beach with my sister. All right, boys and girls. I would do something similar. And for me as a first-year teacher, that was really, really helpful because I needed that support, and I needed something to kind of know where I was going with my teaching. And then my favorite part about Writer's Workshop, and you guys can jump in. My favorite part of Writer's Workshop is it's so easy to do different forms of learning. You can do whole group, small group. You're able to meet with kids one-on-one, which every teacher, is like, that could never happen. It does in Writer's Workshop. You are able to meet with your kids one-on-one and give them that individualized instruction that they need to grow and meet their own needs. So those are some of the reasons why you should do Writer's Workshop. One of my favorite parts of Writer's Workshop is that it embeds literature into the writing process. So you're building those reading skills and that love of reading while also embedding the writing and the growth in their writing foundation. And so if you look at this table, these are some of the texts that are used in the Writer's Workshop units. Hopefully your school library has these. We tried to pick books that, we did a lot of research over the decisions, the book choices, and so we felt like these would best meet the standard that we were trying to teach. And hopefully you'll have them in your classroom. We also tried to think if it was a book that probably no one had versus a book that most teachers would have, we tried to do that so that you could have these and actually use them in your classroom. But it's a good way to just, make the two things meet so that your kids are becoming really literate and loving reading, loving writing, and then they're starting to see what authors do in their writing and bring it into their own writing. I'm a huge Mo Willems fan. My kids come in and they don't know Mo Willems, and by the end, that's all they read is Mo Willems. It's like a fight, who can get the Mo Willems book. And so I use Mo Willems to teach writing, especially when we get into speech bubbles and, making our words fierce and, loud talking and just different ways to make our stories come to life. And so as they're reading a Mo Willems book, they'll be like, Miss Dias, they are screaming. And I'm like, yeah, we could do that in our writing. And then for a while, their writing will just have speech bubbles of all capital letters because they're screaming. But they're starting to make that transition and seeing what real authors do, and they are becoming real authors. That's what I tell them. We're doing the things that authors do. We're authors. So that is another benefit of using Writer's Workshop in the classroom. And differentiated learning. That is a challenge in the classroom. When you have 25 to 30 kids in your classroom, it can be really, really hard to differentiate. That is a lot of work on the teacher. The best thing about Writer's Workshop is its differentiation without doing anything, really. I mean, you don't have to do much to differentiate. It's naturally differentiated so that your baby that is just, scribbling, they're going to be able to do that with confidence. And your little one that needs to work on remembering punctuation, they're going to be able to do that with confidence. And they are both working at their own pace, and you're able to just provide them support. So it's easy differentiation.
And I love it because in the celebration part of it, those students, whether they're at the scribbling stage, the labeling stage, or they're full out writing sentences in kindergarten, I love it because they see themselves as authors in the celebration. And it doesn't matter where they're at. And there's this bond in your community of your classroom, and the children start seeing themselves, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm just like these authors. And that's what I want in my classroom more than anything, is when they leave kindergarten, they see themselves as an author. And I think that is easy to do with Writer's Workshop.
And then ultimately, our job is to get kids to love learning, and Writer's Workshop does that. It gets kids excited about writing. So, I think back to school, and I don't remember if I loved writing, but writing just seems kind of daunting, especially for those boys that, they just are not as into writing. But Writer's Workshop, I can say every one of my kids, every year that I've done it, has become excited about writing. And in their free time, so when my kids finish their work, they can go do dessert. So you have to eat your dinner first, and then if you don't eat your dinner, you don't get dessert, but as long as you eat your dinner, you can get dessert. So a dessert choice is like their free time choice. And we talk a lot about how you have to earn it, And Writer's Workshop notebooks are a dessert choice. They can write. And the cutest thing is they love to do that. That's one of their favorites. They will go, and I keep papers over there. They'll go get paper and write together. And I had this, 2 years ago, I had this a special group. They loved Writer's Workshop. And they would do it every day for dessert. And so I had this one little girl who was she was a strong learner in all areas, very academic, driven. She was a reader, a writer. And then I had this little baby who came in, and she did a reading recovery, and she really just struggled with her confidence. She came in way behind grade level to be in reading recovery. And so one day they were like, Miss Dias, can we do a team book? Authors sometimes write together. And I was like, yeah, you're right, they do. So yeah, go ahead and work together. So they're working on this book, and the funny thing is my one that was really strong academically was the illustrator. And the little one that was, more of my struggling learner, she was the one transcribing and actually writing the story. And I would hear them, and she'd be like, what says shh? Like shh. And the little one would be like, SH. It's SH. And she'd write an SH, and she'd be like, good job. This is the best book ever. And they were like so excited. And the learning that was going on was way more rich than me standing in front of the class and being like, all right, SH says shh, which I wouldn't teach it that boring, but that was boring. But so the learning opportunities are endless with Writer's Workshop.
And also, if you don't want to do the dessert, you can also implement it in your writing center and have their folders in the center. Because we do centers, so you can also have those notebooks in a center. Everything you hear here, you can do in a center as opposed to whole group.
And that's whatever it's really just a framework. So you can implement it however works best for you in your classroom. And a lot of that depends on the students you have that year. We all know that. So my year this year is going to look much different than it did last year. And you can look, I know that me and my team have already met, and we looked and we thought, okay, we all know where our students are. We've done our literacy first testing. So where do we think we need to start at? Well, we have a ton of students who went to pre-K, so we're going to bypass a few of the lessons that talk about how to hold a book. Our students already passed that. And that's what I love about Writers Workshop. You can enter where you need to based on your students' needs.